All right, welcome everybody to week 2, day 3. And today we're going to be talking about wrapping up the bit on digging into sources and stuff like that with the discussion of your performance on the quiz. So, not great. 65% on a true-false test is not great. It's better than before, though. And you'll see as we look at some of these questions, some of them got them more than others. So for this one, the link didn't work, and I thought about actually fixing it, but it actually doesn't matter because the claim is the claim, and the claim was wrong, right? And in fact, if I left the statement in, it's from the Museum of Us in San Diego, but it's actually more or less copied and pasted from the Society of Museums in America. The stream is paused. The stream is paused. Oh, look at that. Let's see here. How about now? There we go. All right. So the one of the national associations of museum put out a statement after Trump made Executive Order 13950, stating that it was going to specifically ban the use of the terms critical race theory, white privilege, intersectionality, systemic racism, and unconscious bias from any training or materials used by institutions receiving federal funding of any kind. And they wrote this whole thing about it being overstepping a federal authority, et cetera, et cetera. And so week is for participating week 1 and week 2. Yeah. So all you have to do is participate once in 4 classes, which is a fairly low bar for participation to get your points. So so the reason what do you think? Why do you think so many students got this wrong? Because all you have to do is open this up, right? You can just select this, open up Executive Order 13950, open up the Federal Register. There's the original text right here. And, the claim made, this is the exact claim, by the way, that it specifically banned the use of the terms like critical race theory. So we can come in here and search for nope, there's no critical race theory in it. We could search for white privilege. Nope, white privilege does not appear in there. Intersectionality. Nope, doesn't appear in there at all. Systemic racism, et cetera, et cetera. So it did not specifically ban those words. You could say they're implied, certainly, but the claim is that they were specifically banning those terms. You can't use any training that uses those terms in it. And the answer is you looked up the order and skimmed through it. Yeah, you just Control F it, and you can see that those terms appear nowhere within the executive order. So that's so 50-50, right? It was you trusted an unreliable source. I mean, see, here's the thing, right? A museum is normally a pretty trustworthy source, right? But when it comes to politics, they're not, right? So that's one of those things. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson, is a very trustworthy source, I would say, when it comes to science. Do you guys know who NDT is? I like it. Really? It's strange. This guy? Right. I like him a lot. And he does a great job explaining science and things like that. And when it comes to astrophysics, yeah. But when he starts talking about religion, he just has no idea what he's talking about. And so when it comes to things like politics and religion, it's really hard to find an unbiased source. In fact, you might say that just most people have bias, and so the way that you deal with bias is you have to get multiple sources of input, right? And so you can't just read the museum statement, or not just the museum statement, but the museum association statement. You can't just read that. You have to actually find where people disagree on a point, and then go to the primary source and see which one of them is right about it. Okay, it's usually biased, yeah. And so what you have to do is you have to pit biased sources against each other. Okay, you have to you've got somebody claiming that Trump said this, somebody else said Trump said that, and then you find the speech or whatever that they're talking about and actually see what he actually said, and then you can figure it out. Like almost any secondhand information when it comes to politics and religion are inherently suspect. Like, if you only get one source on any of those subjects, it's not great. And so you guys did better on the Hillary Clinton one, right? So Hillary Clinton specifically said that 25% of Trump voters were deplorable. And so if we come to the link here, you can see that NBC, which is, a major reputable news organization, is giving an opinion piece. This isn't a news piece, it's an opinion piece. But you'd see the claim right here is that Hillary far undershot her estimate that only 25% of Trump supporters were deplorable. So you'd see the claim being made right here, right? The claim is that Hillary said that 25% of Trump supporters were deplorable. The opinion piece says we think it should be 100%. But there's the claim that's highlighted right there. So why was this false, right? Because here we have, Hillary Clinton said that specifically 25% of Trump voters were deplorable. That should be true, right? NBC News wouldn't lie to us, right? In the source, it is mentioned that she said 25%, but the actual video footage, she said about half. That's correct. That is exactly right. You kept second guessing yourself because you got false for all the answers. I mean, it is only the second week of the semester, but yeah, I've given midterms before where like every answer was C. Like I will definitely like subvert expectations. So like you're used to like, oh, if there's 4 true falses, 2 of them should be true, one of them, maybe true. No, all 4 were false. 100%. Did never say a percentage. Hillary said it half. Like if you look at so if we come up here and compare, and we come to here where there's a link, and we go here, and there it's half, and then here.
To just be grossly generalistic, you could put half of Trump's supporters into.
So half. Okay. So you can actually watch the speech, like rather than like, Fox saying like, I want my original version of this was, like Tucker Carlson or something saying Hillary says all of us are deplorable, and she didn't. She said half, right? And then NBC toned it down to 25%, and so I could have gone either way on that quiz, but again, like what I said last time, like if I have something going one way, I have something going the other way. So there's a false claim about Trump, there's a false claim about Hillary. Okay, I always go 1-to-1 in this class. Yeah, you need to dig into the primary source to get at it. Okay, so in California, it is illegal to drive down the street with your dome lights on. Anyone else's parents tell you that? Like my parents told me it is illegal. Like I'd be wanting to like read in the car, so I'd like turn the light on in the car and like I'd want to read, and my parents were like, no, you can't. That's illegal. You'll get us arrested for that or something, And so I'd actually like hold my book up on the freeway, so like the headlights of the cars behind us would illuminate my book, and then I could read it like this, Turns out it's not illegal. I think your parents just didn't want to have the lights on in the car. So, yeah, your dad told you that. They still tell you that, yeah. But you can see that you guys did pretty well on this one. So why did you guys do so well on that? Like, why was this one so much easier than like these two? What do you think? I drop my Happy Meal all the time because of it. It's funny. Why'd all the cars have them if it's illegal? Or think about a bus, right? Like inside of a bus, they usually have the lights on all the time. Right? It's clearly not illegal. I took 5 different California DMV practice written tests, and not one of them said that driving with a dome light is illegal. I mean, Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair, but like it could have just been like one of those obscure rules or something, you know. Might be helpful. Yeah, maybe. The executive order requires much more reading. Yeah, except Control F is your friend. You know what I mean? That's true. Yeah, the executive order is a lot more like technical. With this, you could just be like, right, just open this up. And also, what helps is like the link here is lies your parents told you, right? And so the source itself is saying it's a lie, you know. And then you can read this one and can I drive with my lights on? No, it's not illegal. Like the sources on this one actually confirmed, you know, the answer. Whereas on these sources would mislead you. And so I think a lot of students would just be like, well, the professor gave us a source, must be true. Welcome to critical thinking, all right? Like, this is a critical thinking class. You got to think for yourselves. That's the whole point, right? The whole point of this class is for you to think for yourselves. Don't believe me. Don't believe, you know, NBC News. Don't believe Twitter. Oh, Lord. Yeah, definitely don't believe Twitter on things. That'd be terrible. But think for yourselves. You know, that's the goal. So, yeah, adding commercial lights, yeah, is a different thing. Yeah. Okay. Trust me, bro. Okay, and then for the last one, eating sugar causes hyperactivity in kids. So this one seems to imply that eliminating sugar might help with ADHD. These are the good guys. Eat in the evening and helps you sleep. So cut out sugar right there, right? But if you Google it, let's right click, Google it on DuckDuckGo. Google it on DuckDuckGo. There you go. You'll find out that every single link says no. Oh my gosh, that looks disgusting. Many of us have watched children arrive at a party and watch them turn into monsters, but yeah, basically, there's a lot of research on the topic, and it doesn't cause hyperactivity in kids. So I think a lot of people like pick this one. Now, these two are both urban legends. Like when I made these questions on Wednesday, I was like just looking for like common urban legends, you know. And the thing about this one is your sources confirm it's false. On this one, the source seems to imply it's true, which indicates that about 35% of the students only looked at the original source and didn't actually dig into it. So we got you know, if you did that. So, but yeah, there's widespread consensus that sugar does not cause hyperactivity in kids. But again, it's something that we all know is true, you know. So, you know, you know it's true. You find a source that seems to confirm it. Done. True. Okay, any extra points for this all false quiz? No. But there are plenty of extra credit opportunities coming up. So I've gotten some panicked messages from students worrying about their grades, and you should not worry about your grades. This just in, Google's lost their trademark to the name Google, since it is now the most common way to search for refer to a search. Yeah, I mean, basically, I deliberately write Google with lowercase g for that reason, and I use it as a generic term, hoping to, you know, it's like Xeroxing something, right? Or using Kleenex. When a trademark becomes generic like that, they lose their trademark rights. Right? Okay, so let's pivot into the second topic of today. So you're going to get your first Zybooks assignment tonight. It'll be due Monday, I guess. It'll just take the place of the daily quiz, I guess. It's no reason doing two things. The Zybooks, you should have had enough Band-Aid wants you to call them bandages. Yeah, right. Band-Aid brand. It's like it's like the most awkward wording on the box, right? Band-Aid brand adhesive bandages. Your life is unique, so are our bandages. Band-Aid brand adhesive bandages. Yeah. It's like it's such a awkward way of phrasing it. Yeah. So your Zybooks, you should have had enough time to get it bought by now. And what you're going to do is you're going to fire up Zybooks and you're going to go through this. You're going to read the stuff and just answer the quiz questions. 10 is a prime number. Is this a proposition or not a proposition? It's a proposition because it's something that is either true or false, right? You get the points. If you get it wrong, then it tells you it's wrong and why it's wrong. And then you can get it right. Yay. And so there's no excuse not to get 100% on the Zybooks. The main reason, so to speak, that people don't get 100% is they forget. Yeah, they forget to do it. So, which is not a particularly good reason. Shut the door is not a proposition because it's a command, not a proposition, so on and so forth. So basically read the thing, and it's going to teach you about logic, which is our topic for today, in addition to going over the last quiz. Ands, ors, ambiguity of or. This is a particular sticking point. I have not in here. Yeah, there's not. So and, or, and not are the three basic logical operations. And then when you get to the bottom here, this is important. You will see that there is an additional exercises section. You do not have to do them. Okay. I've had in the past students, like all the answers are visible, right? Like they're there so you can like check your knowledge, right? It's like if you're struggling with something, like if you're like, I need more practice. That's what they're there for. I do not want to see them. I've had students come up to me at like the end of the semester and like, I did all the additional exercises and slam down like 100 pages of handwritten, and I'm like, I don't want to read that. Is there already homework assigned to the book? There will be. It'll go live in 20 minutes or half an hour or whatever. But yeah, your homework for today is to read sections 1.1 and 1.2 in the textbook. Not all of chapter 1, just 1.1 and 1.2. It's not too bad. Especially because you do not have to do the additional exercises. Only do them if like you feel like, I need more work, I need more practice on these kinds of things, then do it. The answers are all visible. You can just use it to check your knowledge. You guys understand? Additional exercises, you don't have to do them. You guys give me like verbal confirmation of this in chat. Just like I felt horrible. The student, like I made this statement that you don't have to do it, but the student probably wasn't paying attention and did all of the additional exercises, and then wanted me to grade them. And I was like, the answers are available. they're right here. They're visible to students, right? So, okay. You were doing them. Yeah. Extra practice for you, I guess. Okay. 1.2 is about yay big. Down to here, yeah. And so all the stuff below here is additional exercises, and you do not have to do those as well. There's a lot of them. You do not have to do them. Any of them. Just take a look. If you're struggling, take a look, because this stuff is going to be on your midterms and final. But basically, this is about how much reading you got to do. Okay, and just answer the questions and things like that. You'll be good to go. All right. So that's your daily work for today. Well, it's a textbook reading. It doesn't count as daily work, but that's your daily work. You're gonna do a few of the pages, a couple pages on 1.1, 1.2 on Zybooks. Okay. So we're going to talk about, just to be clear, you do not have to do the additional exercises. Yes, you do not have to do please don't, unless and please don't give them to me. How about that? You're more than welcome to do them and check your own knowledge. Don't give them to me. there's no point. They're not worth any points. If you want to do them and just, see if you got them right, all the answers are available on Zybooks. Yeah, like I said, I just felt so bad when the student's like, here you go. I wasn't sure what to do with these things. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to learn today is the basics of logic. And logic is sort of the basis of programming. All right. And so this is sort of like an intro to programming class. CSI 1 is like intro to programming, sort of. And you can imagine we're programming a sentry gun. And the sentry gun has like a field of view like this. And if somebody is within the field of view, then maybe some variable called like, I don't know. This is like the sentry gun can like rotate this much or something. I don't know. So maybe there's some variable called like somebody nearby is true. Somebody nearby is true. And we're going to be programming the sentry gun to shoot. So we could write code that looks something like this. We could say if nearby, then shoot. So there's some variable that holds either true or false, name nearby, and it's true if somebody is in this zone, nearby zone. Okay. So this is the zone. If somebody's within it, this is true. So what's the problem with this? What is the problem with this sentry gun that we've written here? So if somebody enters that zone, we shoot them. Seems like a pretty good sentry gun, right? Pretty effective. What's the problem with it? Well, what's the matter with shooting everything in range, Seth? Makes you better at Call of Duty? Not sufficient range. We'll say this is we'll say nearby. Like it's probably got like some sort of maximum range. Yeah. So if you're within this sort of like pie-shaped zone, it can rotate and shoot and hit you within range. Yeah. You don't want to shoot everything. Like if a bird flies by, will it stop when the person's gone? Yeah, because when the person leaves, like if the person leaves, then nearby is now false, and it will stop shooting. Right? So what's the problem? Aimbot. It can't tell who's good and who's bad. Exactly, Alejandro. So the problem is it's going to shoot you, right? Like you walk, you leave your sentry gun on and you walk out to get a pack of smokes or something, and thing shoots you in the back, right? So what do you want like it to do? Like what if there is like an enemy over here? This is the enemy. Maybe if we have like there's an enemy nearby, we got a variable called enemy. And so we could say like, if there's an enemy somewhere around us. Is this code good though? It's like enemy is true right now because there's an enemy somewhere within, 100 feet of the turret. Is this correct? Does this code look right to you that, there's an enemy like kind of like off to the side here, therefore we should shoot? Some sort of recognition software, yeah, or like an IFF system. That's pretty common in the military, right? Planes all carry transponders on them that you ping it and then it says, "Hey, I'm American. Don't shoot me." Should we shoot this person here? This is friend, right? Friend, deliberately misspelled friend. Should how will it know the bad from the good? Let's say ISIS has a transponder system, but this is in a video game. In the video game, each person, is wearing a different colored shirt, basically, right? Frenemies, yeah. So, so how do we write this code, right? We only want it to shoot if there is an enemy and what? When do we want this thing to fire? You should code for it to detect everywhere. Yeah, it's detecting everywhere, but it can only fire within the nearby zone that we're calling. Okay. So it can detect people like over here, but it can't rotate to face them. This is the only zone it can shoot in. It's like a fixed point turret, or like a pillbox or something. And nearby. Yeah, very good. So if there is an enemy within, 150 feet of us, and they're in the nearby zone, then plug them. Okay. When it sees whatever is distinct to the bad guy, it's coded not to shoot when there is an enemy and ally in range. Yeah, exactly. So we want to shoot when there is an enemy nearby, and ideally, no friend also, right? So maybe it's too dangerous to shoot if there's a friend nearby. What do you guys think? Like, what if there's a friend over here? Should we still shoot? No. Okay. We'll need to make this a little bit more complicated then. If there is an enemy nearby and they're in the firing zone, and what? And no friend, right? So we have some sort of variable called friend. And if the variable friend is true, then we don't want to shoot. So we want to say and not friend. So friend is true. If there's a friend anywhere near us, we don't shoot. Yeah. Now coded to be only the enemy and no friend. Yeah. So if there is an enemy nearby and they're in the zone and there's no friends in the zone, then we shoot. Yep. It's self-destruct. Okay. And this is how we write software. Okay. One of the most common bugs in software engineering is not what you think. Like a lot of people talk about, like, oh, I forgot a semicolon, or like, I forgot. I can scroll with this. It's cool. That's neat. What does that button do? Select. That's cool. Yeah, look at that. I can use my pen to select things, or not. I don't know. I erased my friend's legs. Okay. Okay, but this is how we code. Okay, we think about the possibilities, and we end up generating these things called truth tables. So let's just consider. Let's just consider this part right now. If there's an enemy and they're in the firing zone, shoot. So we're going to make something called a truth table. So a truth table looks like this. You've got your variables, and then you've got some combination of those variables, and you're going to work out when exactly it should shoot. So X is there is an enemy nearby. Y is they're in the firing zone. So if both of these are true, then do we shoot? What do you guys think? So there's an enemy within 150 feet of us somewhere, and they're within the firing zone. Do we shoot? Yes, I took out the not friend thing here. We're gonna start with just two terms. We'll work up to this one later today. So yeah, we do shoot. We shoot when both of these conditions are true. So whenever you have an and, Whenever you have an and, it is true only if both sides are true. So we will only shoot if there's an enemy within 150 feet and they're in the firing zone. If both are true, we shoot. In any other case, we do not shoot. Okay. So what if we have an enemy within 150 feet, but they are not in the firing zone? Do we shoot? Empty the clip? No, we do not. And remember, and is only true if both of the inputs are true. Only if both x and y are true is the output of that true. Okay. So what if we don't have a friend nearby and there is somebody in the firing zone? Do we shoot him? What do you guys think? No enemies nearby. That's what the false means here. And there's somebody in the firing zone, like a friend. Should we shoot him? Probably not. So you lose friends. All right. And then let's just say that there's nobody nearby, right? There's no enemies. There's nobody in the firing zone. Do we shoot? False ended with false is false. Yeah. This is called a truth table. It shows all possible outcomes, right? So if we've got an if statement like that that has two inputs, if there's an enemy nearby and if they're in the firing zone, it's showing every possible combination of inputs for true and false for both of them. Now, what if instead of an and, we had an or? An or is true if either side, either input is true. So let's say that we have two different ways of logging in on our website. Okay, so maybe we have option one. Option one is using the traditional login and password. And we have option two, which is logging in using like Google or Facebook, right? Or two-factor authentication or something like that. Do you guys know what two-factor authentication is? Fresno State, you should require it, I think, to log in on the website. So let's say option two is like, like the click, you know what I mean? It's like the Google login with Google or login with Facebook kind of things. Login with Twitch. Which drives me crazy because Twitch is garbage. Okay. We'll call this one Y. And so you can log in either way, right? And so if you log in using your login and password, you're in. If you log in using Google, you're in. If you log in using both, you're in. They don't care. So let's generate a truth table for that. So we'll call X being able to log in with your username and password, and Y being able to log in with one of these SSO credential kinds of things. So we're going to make a truth table for OR now. X, Y. Scroll down a little bit. X ORed with Y. So what if they can log in both using their username and password and using Google? Do we allow them to log in on the website? Yep, absolutely. Why not? Okay, what if they log in using their username and password, but they don't log in using Google? Do we let them in? Yep. Remember, or if either X or Y or both are true, then we let them log in. Okay. So what if they don't type in their username and password, but they do click on the login and they log in successfully through Google or Facebook or Twitch or something like that? Yep. We do let them in, log in that way. Or one thing I've seen recently is you just type in your username only, like your email address only, and then it emails your email address, and then you can click on the link there, and it logs you in without needing a password at all. It's kind of interesting. Okay, and then what if the person doesn't have any way of logging in. They don't have a username and password. They don't have a Google account. They don't have Facebook. They don't have Twitch. They don't have any way of logging in. Do we let them in? No. Yep. And so this is the truth table for OR. So the truth table for AND is only true when both of the inputs are true. The OR is true for all of the cases except when both of the inputs are false. So true is much more restrictive than OR. And is much more restrictive than OR. Okay. There's only one outcome for AND that is true when both are true, which is good. Like in this case, you don't want to be shooting. Like imagine like you screwed this up, right? Imagine you put an OR in here. And you're going to say shoot if there's a enemy within 150 feet or somebody within the firing zone. Is that a bug? I'll say it again. Imagine you screw up. Like a lot of beginning programmers don't understand the difference between AND and OR. And so they type in, okay, fire the sentry gun if there's any enemy within 150 feet or there's somebody standing in the firing zone. Is that good? What's going to happen when your friend goes and stands in the firing zone? Everyone's going to die. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're shooting an innocent person. Maybe. They might not be innocent. But, it would shoot if an enemy walked in there, it'd kill them. But, yeah, it's buggy. It's a bug. It's a very common bug for students to do this, where they confuse the AND and OR. So they're like, I don't understand the difference. Sometimes you want it to be very selective, right? You don't want your sentry gun just indiscriminately blowing away everybody, right? That makes people mad when they get shot, right? So you want it to be very selective. You want it to be AND. Only if both conditions are met, shoot. Okay. So there is one more logical operator, and that logical operator is called NOT. And so not just like true becomes false and false becomes true. That's it. That's all NOT does. It takes one input. So if you pass NOT, like you think of it as a function, if you pass false to it, it returns true. If you pass true to it, it returns false. If we put it into English words, let's do some Shakespeare. If X is equal to she loves me, Y, which is, let's say, not X, is equal to what? We'll set Y equal to not X, or we just write not X. I guess we don't need to introduce Y. So if X is she loves me, not X is what? She loves me not. Yeah, or she doesn't love me, one or the other. But we're doing Shakespeare here, so she loves me not. She hates you. Kirai desu ne. Kirai, yeah. She loves me not. Okay, so this is not, and so not just inverts the truth value. If you pass them true, you get false. Pass them false, you get true. That's about all we can say about that. So let's now do this. So let's make our sentry gun a little bit safer for humanity. So if we have any friends in the danger zone, we don't shoot. We don't spray bullets in this area because we've got a friend inside of it. So now we're going to learn how to do a more complicated truth table. So we want a truth table for if there's an enemy within 150 feet and they're standing in, and there's somebody in the firing zone, and there's no friends within 150 feet, let's say, or no friends within the firing zone, whatever. So there's two ands and a not in here, and I erased the D by accident. There we go. So this is going to cause the truth table to get a little bit bigger. Okay. So if enemy and nearby and not friend. Okay. So X is there is a enemy within 150 feet. Y is there's someone in firing zone. Z is there is a friend within 150 feet. Or friend in the firing zone. Yeah, sure. Friend in the firing zone. Whatever. Okay, so we need to now figure out when it's okay to shoot and when it's not okay to shoot. If we've got three variables like this, there's 8 combinations of it. So it's going to look like this: X, Y, Z. Try and draw a straighter line here. There we go. That's better. And then we got possibilities. All 3 of them are true. True, true, false. True, false, true. True, false, false. Okay, 8 possibilities there. False, true, true. False, true, false. False, false, true. False, false, false. Okay. And so whenever you have a complicated thing like this, and we do this when we're programming, especially if we have a bug and it's not working right, we'll actually generate the truth table and look at it and make sure that what it's doing is actually matching up with what we think it should be doing. So we're going to take this one step at a time: enemy and nearby and not friend. Okay. So we'll do not friend first. That seems like the simplest one. So not Z. Maybe it's a World War II game. It's got Nazis in it. All right. Okay, so if Z is true, the not Z is what? Yes. My daughter always says, "Daddy, why do you tell so many dad jokes?" I'm like, it's in the name, girl. It's in the name. The answer is right there in front of you all along. Okay, so if Z is true, what is not Z? False. And if it's false, then it's what? If Z is false, not Z is true. So we're basically just going to go, whenever you do a truth table, you normally refer to 2 previous columns, except in the case of not, because not only takes 1 previous column. And so we're just going to go through here. Every place where there's a false, we're going to put in a true. Every time there's a true, we're going to put in a false. And it's just going to go false, true, false, true, false, true, false, true, false, true. Like that. Cool. All right. So that column is done. So what else do we got up here? If enemy and nearby. Okay. So if there is an enemy and there is somebody in the firing zone. So this column here refers to this column ANDed with this column. So this column is going to be true only when you got a true in both places here. Okay, so the first row here, true ANDed with true is what? True. True ANDed with true is true. True ANDed with false is what? False. And then that's going to be false, that's going to be false, that's going to be false. Because 1 true, 1 false is a false. And then what about false ANDed with false? Also false. Yeah, the only time it's true is when both of them are true. Okay, so that is done there. And then our final bit of truth table-ness is X ANDed with Y ANDed with not Z. Okay. And so this is that column, not Z is that column. And so we're going to AND these two things together. So false ANDed with true. Are both sides true? Yeah. What about true ANDed with true? Okay. And then false, 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 false. Okay, very easy. So you can see at the end of the day, the sentry gun is only going to fire here. The only time shoot is going to be called is in this one row here. And so it's only going to be called when there's an enemy within 150 feet, when there's somebody in the firing zone, and when we are clear, like there's no friends nearby. And that's exactly what we want, right? We want to shoot if there's an enemy in the firing zone and there's no friends in the firing zone, we're good. Now, if we were accidentally shooting people, we might end up with like a true, I don't know, like over here or something like that. And then that's when you do this truth table and you look at your code and you're like, all right, why is it shooting, here? And these things are like useful for like debugging logic problems. Like your sentry gun, like when there's nobody nearby whatsoever, it spazzes out and starts shooting the walls or something. Like, you're like, wait, why is this true? There's nobody, there's no enemies, there's no friends, there's no enemies, there's nobody in the firing zone, and it just goes, and it just starts blowing holes in walls. You can look at your code and generate a truth table for it, because this is basically valid C++ code almost. You can look at the truth table for it, and ideally there should only be one circumstance, right? We want to be very selective when we're shooting. And if you have like a bunch of truths in there, you're like, that's probably wrong. Like that's probably not good. It's just shooting for a lot of different reasons. This is something you're going to be doing on your midterms. You're going to be doing on your finals, and we can do it for this too, really fast. So if you need a login. What happened there? If you need a login and a password or a Google login, before I had these kind of merged together, but now we want to say if X and Y, X is username, Y is password, ORed with Z. And so, what if they have a valid username but they don't have a valid password? Should they be able to log in? What do you guys think? No? Well, what if they have a valid Google login, right? Then maybe. Right? But just on its own. So if they have a valid username and a valid password and they have a valid Google login, and Y or Z. So we're going to start off looking at these two columns, X and Y. True, true, false, true, false, true, true, false, false. Everything's at a weird angle. I think I'm holding my tablet crooked on my lap. False, true, true, false. Let's see if we can strand these things out. so terrible. False, true, false, 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 true, and false, false, false. This is the crookedest truth table I think I've ever made. Okay, so if X and Y are both true, we get a true here. This is the X ANDed with Y. True ANDed with false is false. True ANDed with false is false. False ANDed with true is false. I'm not seeing any other TTs in here, so these are all going to be false. And then we're going to do the final column here. And this one is going to be comparing this row, this column, sorry, not row, column, and this column. And so we're going to be ORing these two things together. So true ORed with true is what? True. True ORed with false. True. True order with false, true. False order with false, false. True order with false, true. False order with false, false. True order with false, true. And false order with false is false. And so these truths here are the combinations that allow somebody to log in. So if they have a valid username and password and a Google login, they can log in. If they have a valid username and password but no Google, they can log in. If they have a username but they don't know their password but they can log in on Google, they can still log in. If they don't have their username but they do have their password but they have Google, they can log in. Or if they don't have either their username and password but they have Google, they can log in. And there you go. So this truth table is showing us all the possibilities where people can log in with different combinations like I remember my username, I remember my password, and I have a Google login. So the Zybooks is going to explain all that to you. Make sure you understand it. Like I said, we're going to be doing lots of questions on these on like the midterms and the final and things like that. It's foundational to computer science. Okay, so that is it for today, and I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Hope you guys have fun and stay healthy, and I'll see you next time. Peace.